let's talk our next topic, the Repechage. The Repechage. And this one I actually find, because I love the Olympics. We got Olympic sevens happening next year, July and August. Yo, it's about to go down. Year number 3 in the Olympics. Fiji's got it 2-0. Who's going to be able to break it next? And a lot comes down to what happens in this Repechage. So if you guys don't know, what is the Repechage? All right. The Repechage is the last qualification opportunity for teams to be able to make it into the Olympics, to take the last spot. We got 11 teams on both sides that have been filled, and we're looking for one more team on each one. The game itself, the event itself, is a 3-day event. It's going to be featuring 12 men's and women's team, happening in Stade Louis II, Monaco. Wealthy money. That place is going to be popping with that ching-a-ling-a-ling. I'm so stupid. It's going to be happening June 21st and 23rd. And of course, like I said, one team from each side will be eligible to be able to make it into that last spot for the Olympics. So who is competing this year in the Repechage? A lot of times we've seen a lot of repetition. This year we got Brazil. For the men's side, we have Brazil, Canada, Chile, China, Great Britain, Hong Kong, China, Mexico, Papua New Guinea, South Africa, Spain, Tonga, and Uganda. And for the women's side, we have Argentina, China, Czechia, which I think is the Czech Republic, Hong Kong, China, Kenya, Jamaica, Mexico, Papua New Guinea, Paraguay, Poland, Samoa, and Uganda. Now, for me, the biggest shock on this was the fact that I saw South Africa on the bulletin. Like, I did not expect to see South Africa on here. I actually had thought that they'd gotten one of the automatic 4 spots, but they didn't. Apparently, that went to New Zealand, Argentina, Fiji, and Australia from the 2023 HSBC 7 series, which I did not realize that South Africa had dropped off. I guess they sent so many, were getting their resources sent so much for the Rugby World Cup, they forgot to qualify for that. And then I remember in the Africa's Cup competition for the qualifiers that I was rooting for Nigeria, ended up not making it, but it came down to Kenya versus South Africa, and Kenya ended up winning. Now, at the time, I didn't even think about that because I thought, South Africa kind of half-assed it. Sometimes you get to double up, you do your regional competition while also simultaneously handling your automatic competition. But that wasn't the situation. Like, South Africa legitimately lost 2 opportunities to get their qualified bidding. So in this Repechage, this almost feels unfair because now that the Rugby World Cup is over, South Africa is now going to be in full charge. And I don't know if the rest of the world is going to be ready for them. The other part that actually shocked me is the fact that Great Britain is going to be in contention in this Repechage. There is a possibility of this Olympics happening without Great Britain, who did really well in 2020, the 2020-2021 Rugby World Cup, or not having South Africa, which seems unfathomable to me. Absolutely unfathomable to me to see either one of those 2 traditional powerhouses. But I think that's good for rugby. You got to change it up sometimes, You got to be able to bring out a little bit of the differences over here. Now, on the women's side, they say it's a lot more open, but I'm going to be honest with you, all right? Between Kenya, Jamaica, and Samoa, and then on the side, Mexico and Uganda, like, these are the teams that have the highest chance. I'm looking at Kenya most likely broadly taking it all because Kenya lost a surprising upset to South Africa's women's program that has been slowly on the rise. If you guys watch the WXV2, you would see that South Africa has actually performed very well. It's a hard-nosed team. I know it's 15s, but understand the direction and rise of the program. It's a hard-nosed team. So for them to have beat Kenya women, that was a big shock because Kenya women have dominated the African competition. Uganda is a team that's coming up on the low. They've slowly made their way up into African competition. But I was also talking about Samoa. Samoa and South Africa are so similar. They're just pressing teams. They got great men's alternative programs that have fed into the lessons that they use for themselves, similar to what Fiji has done for the Fiji women. Samoa is a team that's tough. They're hard hitting. They might not be the fastest or most fluid, but if you hit a person hard enough and you can at least contain them, who cares what you're able to do if you can't get past them. Let this be a 14-7 game and get them into the wins. So, look at for them. And then Mexico and Jamaica are actually real underdogs. I know technically, and Hong Kong, China, more or less, I don't know as much because Hong Kong, China is weird. They got a very strong rugby community in Hong Kong. Obviously, everybody knows about Hong Kong Sevens. Hong Kong has a really robust community. A lot of it is expats. I feel like this is China's entry point to get through, bypass the China one, and then also come in through with Hong Kong. But at the same time, they have the resources to be able to compete. They've not been dominant. Obviously, Japan worked them more so, but China's been some hitters, technical tacklers, not hitters. They're not booming anybody, but they've been some technical tacklers for this. So on the women's side, it's all up, but I really do feel like it's going to end up being Kenya. And I think this is going to end up being a South Africa versus Kenya competition. Watch Uganda on this one. Uganda is going to surprise people on the men's side. Watch Uganda men. All right. That is a team on the rise who is doing some dominating things that you don't realize because you're not paying attention to African rugby. All right. You're not paying attention. Obviously, they haven't performed at the sevens level, so who cares? But this is what Ireland was doing way back just 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And now look at where Ireland is now. Uganda is doing the same thing. Uganda has been slowly building up. Give them just a little bit more resources. Man, that men's side is going to be wild. And just so you guys know who are already the qualifying teams that are going to be in the Olympics at this point that this repechage is going for. Obviously, automatic for the men's side, like I said previously, New Zealand, Argentina, Fiji, Australia. And then following up, it's Uruguay from the South American side, Ireland, who beat it over clearly Great Britain and everybody else. USA from the North American side, we saw that with Pan Americans and ran. Kenya taken from the African side, like I said, with the upset over South Africa that I underestimated. Samoa from the Oceania side, and Japan taking on the Asia regionals. For the women's, New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, and USA are the automatic bidders. So even with this HSBC 7, this is why I've talked about it in the past. I want the USA women to come out and dominate a little bit, not because they already have an automatic bidder, they're trying to earn the Olympics, but they need to set that tone going in hard. I get, figure out your rotations, yada, yada. You don't need to try. And, what do I know? But you guys have also finished 8th and 5th in the world in the Olympics and been dominated by Great Britain, New Zealand, and Australia in the Olympics. So if you're using the same method you used before, it probably is not the best way, even if you got new people on the bat. And obviously, there's Dubai and Cape Town. Obviously, they brought back their veterans. Other qualifying team for the women's side, Brazil, won for South America side, Canada for the North American side, regional, Great Britain for Europe, South Africa for the African regionals, like I said, with the upset against Kenya, Fiji on the Oceania side. Fiji just so dominant. If you guys saw 2021, don't forget, man, Fiji's a dominant women's side. Those are some bangers, boy. Those are some bangers. And then Japan for the Asia side. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me take it out to the comments. Average Rugger says Uganda back in the day at schoolboy level were a forced play. They played them a couple times while I was at the Sharks Academy, and they were tough to beat because of their physical game they played. Exactly. Like I said, Uganda is not one to sleep on. Just because you don't know about them does not mean that they're not something to watch out for, because they are a squad. That is a culture that's there. And not too far behind them, even though they're not in this, Madagascar. Madagascar. Never would have expected it. Talked to a guy over at a food convention. Yo, this man said Madagascar's got such a culture of rugby because of the French. Like, their rugby culture is real. They don't have a whole lot of other sports, but rugby is one of them. They just don't got money. All right. Look for Madagascar in maybe 5 years. But Uganda is definitely one, is a dark horse. I don't think they're going to win it at all. I just don't think that they have the experience and the talent yet, but they're going to be some bangers. All right. They're going to surprise you as the edge speed. They're very similar to what I feel like is Jamaica in a lot of ways. And that's not just because it's two black nations, but it's literally like they're long, they're fast, and there's some bangers. I think they bang a little bit harder than Jamaica does, but there's some bangers out there. So, let me know what else your thoughts are. You obviously hit it in the comments. Let us know in the DMs, wherever you feel like you got to put it out there. I'm all about being this. All right. I'm all about getting this right. So. I ain't convinced. Round in the city, black out the tents.